September 15th, 1944. 1830 hours. The Moselle River Valley, France. The fog is clinging to the tree line, heavy and cold. Through the Zeiss binoculars of a German forward observer, the view is terrifying. Below him, in a clearing that was empty just 6 hours ago, an entire American armored division has materialized out of thin air. He counts them, his heart hammering against his ribs. 10, 20, 40 Sherman tanks, half-tracks, jeeps, the unmistakable silhouette of 155mm long tom artillery pieces pointed directly at the German lines. The observer grabs his field telephone. His voice cracks with urgency. Sector 4, massive enemy buildup, requesting immediate artillery solution. Coordinates to follow. Miles away, the 88mm guns thunder. The shells arc through the gray sky, whistling the song of death that every soldier in Europe has learned to fear. The first shell screams into the clearing and impacts directly on the turret of the lead Sherman tank. But there is no secondary explosion. There is no twisted metal. There is no fire. Instead, the 40-ton war machine bounces. It shudders, wrinkles, and then, slowly, sadly, deflates like a punctured birthday balloon. A soldier runs out from the tree line, not with a fire extinguisher, but with a patch kit and a roll of duct tape. To the German observer on the ridge, this is a hallucination, but to the men on the ground, it is just another Tuesday at the office. Welcome to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. The Army calls them a Tactical Deception Unit. They call themselves the Ghost Army. These men aren't your typical GIs. You won't find many farmers or factory workers here. Look closely at their hands. They are stained with paint, not gun oil. They are set designers from Broadway, fashion illustrators from Manhattan, painters from art school, and sound engineers from radio stations. While the rest of the Allied Army is fighting with steel and high explosives, the 23rd is fighting with air, sound, and pure imagination. Their commander, Colonel Harry L. Reeder, looks over the battlefield. It is a masterpiece of illusion. His men have deployed an entire battalion of inflatable rubber tanks, M4 Shermans that weigh only 90 pounds and can be set up in 20 minutes. From 500 yards away, they are indistinguishable from the real thing. They cast shadows. They have tread marks, which the artists meticulously dig into the mud with shovels. They even have laundry hanging on lines between the tents to suggest a relaxed, confident force. But the danger is very real. These artists are pulling off a high-stakes con game in the middle of a war zone. They are deliberately drawing the attention of the German army. They want to be seen. They are painting a target on their own backs to draw enemy fire away from the real 6th Armored Division, which is quietly flanking the enemy 20 miles to the north. As the German artillery continues to pound the field, shredding rubber instead of steel, a young sergeant named Arthur Singer, who would later become a world-famous wildlife artist, dives into a foxhole. He clutches his sketchbook to his chest. The ground shakes. The air smells of cordite and damp canvas. They have successfully fooled the Germans. The enemy thinks there is a massive steel fist waiting to punch a hole in their line. But if the Germans decide to launch a counterattack with infantry instead of just shelling them, they will discover the terrifying truth. The Ghost Army has heavy machine guns made of plywood. Their cannons are PVC pipe. They are defending a 3-mile front with nothing but air compressors and acting skills. And as the sun sets, the deception is about to get even dangerous. Because tanks are scary during the day. But to truly terrify the Nazis, the Ghost Army has to own the night.
2200 hours, the edge of no man's land. Darkness erases the rubber tanks. In the black void of the European night, the visual deception is useless. But fear works best in the dark. This is the domain of the 3132nd Signal Service Company, the sonic warriors of the Ghost Army. While the artists sleep in their foxholes, the sound engineers are just getting to work. They climb into the backs of half-tracks that look normal from the outside, but are essentially mobile broadcast studios on the inside. Mounted on the rear are massive 500-pound speakers, powerful enough to be heard 15 miles away. The technology they are using is cutting edge for 1944. Before magnetic tape, there was wire recording, spools of hair-thin steel that captured audio with eerie fidelity. Back in the United States, these men had spent months recording the specific, unique sounds of the American military machine. They didn't just record noise, they recorded the distinct clatter of a pontoon bridge being assembled. They recorded the specific, high-pitched whine of a Sherman tank turret rotating. They recorded the profane shouting of sergeants trying to get a truck convoy unstuck from the mud. Tonight, they are going to play a concert for the German High Command. But to make it believable, they have to get close, terrifyingly close. The sound trucks creep forward, engines muffled, inching within a few hundred yards of the German listening posts. If a German patrol spots them, they are dead. These trucks have no armor, they are just loudspeakers on wheels. The signal is given, the needle drops. Suddenly, the silence of the night is shattered by the roar of an armored column. To the German sentries shivering in their bunkers across the valley, the sound is unmistakable. They hear the heavy engines of tanks idling. They hear the heavy thud, thud, thud of trucks hitting potholes. They hear thousands of men marching, coughing, and checking weapons. The sound is mixed live. The engineers inside the trucks are acting like DJs in a nightmare club. They fade in the sound of a tank approaching from the left. They mix in the sound of a Jeep speeding away to the right. They layer the audio to create a 360-degree sonic hallucination. The Germans panic. Flares pop overhead, bathing the valley in harsh white light. The German artillery opens up again, firing frantically into the darkness, trying to hit the column they can hear moving along the road. But the shells land in empty fields. The sound trucks have already moved. It is a psychological torture. The Ghost Army keeps the Germans awake all night, convinced that a massive attack is imminent. The enemy reserves are held in place, waiting for a dawn assault that will never come. Meanwhile, the real American tanks, the ones with actual 75mm guns, are miles away, sleeping soundly, their movements completely masked by the cacophony of the ghosts. But sound and sight are only two dimensions of the lie. The 23rd knows that the Germans are smart. They have spies, they have infiltrators, they have intercepted radio traffic. If the Germans get close enough to see that the soldiers in the cafe are actually actors, or if they tune their radios and hear silence where there should be an entire division chatting, the jig is up. So, the Ghost Army prepares for its most dangerous performance yet. They have to stop hiding in the woods. They have to go into town, sit at the bars, and lie directly to the faces of the people who might kill them.
November 1944, a smoky bistro in Luxembourg City. The war isn't just fought in the mud, it's fought in the mind. And sometimes, the most dangerous weapon is a glass of wine and a loose tongue. Two American GIs sit at a corner table. They're dirty, exhausted, and wearing the shoulder patches of the 6th Armored Division, the Super 6th. They're loud, they're drunk, they're complaining bitterly about their orders. "I can't believe we have to move out toward the Saar River tomorrow," one grumbles, pouring another glass. "The whole division is moving, 40,000 men. It's going to be a bloodbath." The bartender wipes a glass and listens. A young woman in the corner glances up from her book. A quiet old man by the fire shifts in his seat. In any other unit, these soldiers would be court-martialed for a breach of operational security. "Loose lips sink ships" is the mantra of the Allied forces. But these men aren't from the 6th Armored. They are actors from the Ghost Army, and they're putting on the performance of their lives. They're engaging in special effects, a calculated form of counter-espionage. They know that every liberated town is crawling with German stay-behind agents and Nazi sympathizers. They know that by morning, their conversation will be encoded and transmitted to Berlin. Back at their barracks, the scene looks less like a military encampment and more like a costume department backstage on Broadway. Soldiers are hunched over sewing machines, frantically stitching counterfeit shoulder patches on the uniforms. They paint tactical markings on the bumpers of their jeeps to match the units they are impersonating. They are identity thieves. For 3 days, they become the 6th Armored. They visit the local brothels, the bakeries, and the churches, spreading a contagion of lies simply by existing. But the acting job goes deeper than just costumes and bar talk. It extends into the invisible ether. The Germans have one of the most sophisticated signals intelligence networks in the world. They listen to everything, and they know that every radio operator has a fist, a unique rhythm of tapping out Morse code as distinct as a human fingerprint or a signature. If the 6th Armored Division leaves the area and is replaced by a deception unit, the German listeners will instantly hear the change in the Morse code rhythm. They will know it's a trick. So, the radio operators of the Ghost Army do something incredible. They don't just broadcast fake messages, they mimic the fists of the operators they are replacing. They spend days studying the transmission styles of specific operators from the real divisions. If a real operator has a heavy hand on the dash, the Ghost Army mimic copies it. If he rushes his dots, the mimic rushes them too. They create a radio net so dense and so authentic that even the best German listeners are fooled. They broadcast orders for fuel, requests for ammunition, and complaints about the weather. They create a digital ghost of an army that is actually moving 40 miles away in total radio silence. It is a high-wire act. One slip-up, one wrong patch in a bar, one wrong rhythm on the radio, and the entire house of cards collapses. But as the winter of 1944 sets in, the stakes are raised. The Allies are preparing for the final push into Germany. They need to cross the Rhine River, the last great natural barrier protecting the heart of the Third Reich. The Ghost Army receives their final and most dangerous mission. They are not just hiding a flank anymore. They are being asked to bait the entire German army into looking the wrong way while the real invasion force crosses the river. If they fail, the Rhine will turn red with American blood. And this time, they won't be hiding in the woods. They will be right on the water's edge.
March 23, 1945. The banks of the Rhine River, Germany. The end of the war is in sight, but the German army is not surrendering. They have retreated across the Rhine, blowing every bridge behind them. They are dug in on the eastern bank, desperate and cornered, waiting to slaughter anyone who tries to cross. The Allied plan is massive. Operation Plunder. 2 huge armies, over 1 million men, will cross the river in the north. But 10 miles south, near the town of Viersen, the Ghost Army is preparing to die so that Operation Plunder can live. Their mission is suicidal. Simulate the 30th and 79th Infantry Divisions. Make the Germans believe that the real crossing is happening here, not 10 miles north. Draw the fire, draw the reserves, be the target. They deploy everything they have. 600 inflatable tanks and artillery pieces are inflated and lined up along the riverbank, partially hidden in the mist. Flash canisters are set up to mimic the firing of heavy guns. But the pièce de résistance is the spoof radio. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops sets up a fake command network that rivals a corporation. They broadcast the frantic, heavy radio traffic of a 30,000-man assault force preparing to jump off. They call in airstrikes on empty fields. They demand engineers bring pontoon bridges to the water's edge. Across the river, the German commanders take the bait. Aerial reconnaissance spots the tanks in the trees. Listening posts hear the massive buildup.
Spies report the movement of the 79th Division patches. The Germans panic. They shift their heavy artillery. They move their precious Panzer reserves south, away from the real crossing point, to meet this imminent threat at Viersen. As night falls, the Ghost Army plays its symphony. The giant speakers blast the sounds of engineers building bridges, the hammering of steel, the roar of boat engines, the shouting of sergeants. The Germans open fire. The riverbank at Viersen erupts. The Ghost Army soldiers huddle in their foxholes as shrapnel shreds their inflatable tanks. The flash machines explode under real bombardment. But every shell that lands on them is a shell that isn't landing on the real crossing force 10 miles away. At dawn, the report comes in. The real Allied armies have crossed the Rhine with light opposition. The German defenses in the north were thin. The deception worked. The Ghost Army held the door open, and the Allies walked right through the front gate of the Third Reich. As the real tanks roll past the deflated rubber carcasses of the decoys, the soldiers of the 23rd look at each other. They are exhausted, muddy, and shaking, but they are alive. And they have just pulled off the greatest magic trick in military history.
When the war ended in May 1945, there were parades, there were medals, but the men of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops received a different kind of reward. They were ordered to burn their diaries. They were told to never speak of what they did. The deception techniques were considered too valuable to reveal. The Pentagon wanted to keep the inflatable army secret for the next war. So the artists went back to their studios. The actors went back to Broadway. Arthur Singer went on to become one of America's most beloved bird illustrators. Bill Blass became a fashion icon, designing dresses for first ladies. Ellsworth Kelly became a giant of modern art. For 50 years, their families asked them, "What did you do in the war?" And for 50 years, they lied. "I blew up tanks," one might say, or "I was in radio." They were the unsung heroes, the men who fought with illusion. It wasn't until 1996 that the documents were finally declassified. The world learned that a unit of 1,100 artists saved an estimated 30,000 American lives. They proved that in the brutal mathematics of war, creativity is a force multiplier. They showed that you don't always need a bigger gun to win. Sometimes you just need a better story. They were the Ghost Army, and like all good ghosts, they vanished before anyone knew they were there.